Hey guys, ShadowRock here with your Mega News Roundup for the week of June 21st, 2021. Last week's Capcom E3 show was pretty much a non-show, not announcing any new games of any kind, just giving updates on games you've already seen, and to be fair, they put it plain as day that that's exactly what they were going to do at E3, so I can't even blame them for that. But it can be definitely argued that Capcom had no business being at E3 in the first place. All the announcements they did have could have been split between the Xbox show and the Nintendo Direct. But I digress. We do have some news this week, thanks to everybody's favorite mobile game, Rockman X DiVE. We're also going to have some updates on Rockman XZ and a couple of other things in this video, so stay tuned. Welp, where to begin other than the D-Blog as always. I hope you're not tired of hearing about Monster Hunter after Capcom pushing the series so hard during E3 last week, because we're here once again talking about Monster Hunter Rise. To be more specific, Rockman X DiVE's crossover with Monster Hunter Rise. I know that Capcom Taiwan has been promoting all of the Mega Man series crossovers as collaborations, but this is the really first big crossover collaboration for this game. And the festivities have already gotten started last week. However, this week, on June 23rd, that's when the real fun begins. What can we expect? On the whole, we can expect a new Monster Hunter themed event stage, and the first banner for the event, which will feature Hunter R Kimura and Hunter V Sinister. You will also have a chance to pull for the new S-Rank weapons, the Sinister Shadow Saber, and the Sinister Gatling Gun, which has now been confirmed to be a machine gun type. But before we break down all the characters and weapons, I want to take a step back and start from the beginning, as we have 4 different trailers to cover here. The first one is a 30-second promo reel for the Monster Hunter event. Here we can see glimpses of the upcoming event stage, confirmation that it is indeed Via and Rico cosplaying as these different new characters, and most importantly, the reveal of Magnum Malo Sigma. Magnum Malo being the big cover monster for Monster Hunter Rise. Eagle-eyed people may have seen Magnum Malo Sigma creeping around in the background with the first promo image we got of the event. But yeah, it's pretty much just a reskin of Wolf Sigma from X1, bringing a raid boss into a regular stage, which is interesting. I guess the whole Ultron Sigma thing didn't work out for him, so now he's thinking, hey, what if I just team up with an actual monster? That will surely defeat X this time. However, Sigma forgets that X can adapt to the situation and become the Monster Hunter X with that sweet Rathalos armor. That being said, Hunter V and Hunter R are going to have to hold off Magnum Malo Sigma on their own for that first week of the event, because Rathalos Armor X is officially being saved for the second week, which is next week. The banner for this week is just Hunter R and Hunter V. That's why I highly recommend you save your medals if you really want Rathalos Armor X, like most of us do. He's gonna be epic. As for the event stage itself, from the little glimpses we get throughout the trailer, it looks to be a reskin of Magma Dragoon's Volcano stage. Other trailers reveal a canyon part to the stage as well. We also have a Monster Hunter version of the Metar Gigant. Man, he sure gets a lot of alts. And another unique addition to this stage is the presence of wire bugs, which you would use in Monster Hunter Rise in order to grapple hook to different points. Oof, I hope we don't have to use touch controls for those wire bugs. 2 more observations from the promo trailer. First of all, the voices that the characters have in the trailer do not belong to Via or Rico. The general consensus is these are recycled from Monster Hunter Rise, the Japanese version to be precise, and these are the player character voices from that version. So no, this is not a reveal for Via's voice acting. I don't think the voice that they used for him really fits the image that I have in my head for Via anyways. And then the last observation is just some errors I noticed in the video itself. Like how before X transforms into Rathalos armor, you can see that part of his hand is cut off when he's doing the animation of his buster. And it is noticeable in the last shot of the trailer how Rathalos Armor X's animation does not loop properly. Nice. Other than that, it's well put together. Always have to give praise to the production value put into these trailers. Now it is time to break down all of those characters and weapons. We'll start with the weapons and work our way up. Sinister Shadow Saber is a big freaking sword, and from what I can tell, when you pizza cut in the air, it leaves a whirlwind of slashes in its wake. The weapon also grants you an attack buff when you hit a boss. Hey, a sword with boss killer baked in. Meanwhile, the Sinister Gatling gun has a chance to cause burn on your target, and I believe it's implied that if you keep hitting them while they're burned, you have a chance of causing an explosion for extra damage. Though once again, English strikes and it's kind of hard to make out. We'll go with that for now. Now for the main event, the characters. Hunter R. Kimura swings in on a wire bug before brandishing her weapon and launching a powerful explosive, which just sends her flying back. And in this animation, it is easy to tell this is supposed to be Rico because the hairstyle is pretty uncanny, even though that's clearly not her voice. That's the power of the deep log errors, y'all. Before we get into skills, I'm just gonna say it's pretty interesting that this is the first time in a while that we can actually use the weapon that the character is using for their skills. So it makes it for a pretty seamless transition going from skills to weapons and back and forth. Anyway, the first skill for Hunter R is known as shelling. This one is pretty unique because the entire skill changes depending on what skill card you equip. Different skill cards representing different ammo types, which is just like Monster Hunter. Crag S is a bit like Crash Bomb, as you launch an explosive needle into an enemy, and it will explode a few seconds later. Unfortunately, even Crag S is not immune to the good old dodge mechanic, even though that thing is exploding right inside Bit's body. Oof. Slicing S is the same thing, but it does multiple slashes instead. Wyvern S, on the other hand, explodes on contact and it's like a gigantic shotgun blast. Definitely not bad for PvE. Her second skill, Anchor Guard, is quite similar to Iris Another's counter skill. Activate to block all damage for a little bit of time, then follow up with a charge shot. Additionally, one of the skill cards allows you to be immune to negative status effects when using Anchor Guard. The last thing that the trailer mentions for Hunter R is that her passive skills will raise her attack and survivability. Last but not least, we have Hunter V Sinister, who is fairly straightforward in comparison. He enters his animation the same way with the wire bug, before showing off his skills with the longsword. His first skill is Spirit Slash, and yup, it's just another forward slashing skill. There sure is no shortage of those in this game. At least it does end off with a spin attack, so it has some decent range on it. And it appears when you rank up Hunter V, you'll get that same whirlwind slash attack that the Sinister Shadow Saber can do when you use Spirit Slash. Hunter V, however, has a new mechanic called Spirit, and you will gain some with the passive skill if you hit a target with your weapon. His second skill, Soaring Kick, then, is just as it says. He will auto-lock onto a target, kick them in the face, and follow up with a downward slash. Additionally, with a skill card, that Soaring Kick skill will stun your target, making your attacks much easier to connect, assuming they don't have status guard. Overall, this is definitely your high DPS character, and seems to also be pretty great for taking out large swaths of enemies at once. As always though, we'll find out how these two perform tomorrow. That does it for Rockman X DiVE for this week. As always, we'll see you tomorrow for the usual live stream for it. But for now, let's move on to the update on Rockman XZ Time Rift. After the community found the existence of this mobile title, a representative of developer Nebula Joy approached Rockman Corner with more details. In summary, this game is going to be a 2D action RPG that's aiming to be a single-player console-like experience, in which you'll have a, quote, small selection of characters to choose from. This game is also going to have optional online PvP game modes, but no further details were given other than that. I will say right off the bat, this is already sounding a lot like Rockman X DiVE. DiVE also was going for the console-like experience. It's also marketed as a 2D action RPG, it has PvP modes, and well, the jury is still out on the whole how many playable characters you're going to have, if they're going to be obtained through gacha or some other method. So far though, gacha hasn't been brought up in regards to this game. However, at the end of the day, it is a mobile game, so they're gonna have to get your money somehow, right? That being said, it's very unlikely most of us aren't even going to be able to play this game anyway. Rockman XZ Time Rift is set to be unveiled later this year, at which points a closed beta is planned to go live in China a little bit after that. The full game itself, however, that's going to be a long ways out. Nebula Joy is not expecting this game to be released until 2022 to 2023. And beyond that, this game is really only for Chinese markets. There are currently no plans to bring this outside of China, no plans for console or PC version ports either. And the reason why I say it's going to be very difficult to even play this is that it's been reported that with Chinese mobile games, when you try to log into them, they'll ask you for a Chinese cell phone number. And well, if you don't have that, you're kind of screwed. I'm sure maybe there are ways around it, but it's definitely going to be a bit harder than get a VPN. In the meantime, hey, if you want to play Rockman X DiVE, you can always just go to the DiVE official website and download it for your Android device that way. Apple users, on the other hand, are still going to have to make a Japanese or Asian Play Store account, but that's still going to be pretty simple in comparison to playing Rockman XZ Time Rift. We'll continue to keep you guys updated on anything that comes out about this game, but again, it's very unlikely many of us are going to get a chance to play it anyways. At least not for another year or two. And I guess I will just say this before we move on. The reason why there's been all these Chinese mobile games is because Capcom is eyeing that big money right now. China has one of the biggest mobile industries in the world. There's a ton of people there playing mobile games, and Capcom wants in on that. At the end of the day, they are a company, so they're gonna go where the money is. And that's pretty much it. Well, what about the rest of us, you may ask? Well, that's a good time to segue into our next subject, which is Mega Man's 35th anniversary in 2022. Just like with the Mega Man Battle Network series 20th anniversary, Capcom is once again looking for licensing partners to create products and put on events for Mega Man's 35th anniversary next year. To quote Capcom directly, they say, 2022 marks the 35th anniversary of the Mega Man series. We are looking for licensees who would like to celebrate it by creating special products and events. And from there, you got a couple of buttons that talks about a little bit of a Q&A and how to get in contact with Capcom to get those things started. Naturally, just like with the other past anniversaries Capcom has done this sort of thing for, they're ramping up over there for bigger plans for Mega Man's 35th anniversary, just like they did for Mega Man's 30th, which resulted in Mega Man 11, Mega Man X 25th, which resulted into the X Legacy Collection, and a bunch of other stuff that we're still seeing, like model kits. And we're already seeing some stuff from the Mega Man Battle Network 20th anniversary, like the Duel Masters crossover. And let's not forget Rockman X DiVE. But wait, I hear you say, nothing happened for Battle Network's 20th anniversary? Capcom was asking for licensing partners for that, and nothing happened. What the heck? To that I say, do I really gotta tap the sign again? Oh, you guys are gonna make me. Alright, I gotta tap the sign. Recall Achi-san's from Rockman Unity's words, back when the Battle Network 20th anniversary came and went. He said, if the world hadn't been in this situation, if the world hadn't been in such a state, I might have had other plans to announce, but for now, I think it's time to be patient. Pretty much, Capcom is saying, yes, we do have things in the works, we have things on the burner right now, but you gotta be patient, because COVID is a real thing. It's affecting the world pretty harshly right now. We just saw that during E3. You wonder why E3 wasn't as hyped this year? The answer is COVID. What are you gonna do when you lost essentially a whole year of development time? You gotta just go ahead and push through things that have already been deep in development or ready to go. The rest of the things they could have shown this year is either early in progress or there's just not enough work done on it to really show anything. It sucks, but that's the truth of the situation. And that's kind of what Capcom is saying here as well, is people gotta have more realistic expectations and be more understanding of this stuff. Even Phil Spencer from Xbox has been saying, you might not see the effects of COVID last year in 2020, but going into 2021, you're gonna see a lot more as the lost time in development really starts to show itself. Just remember, especially in Japan, a lot of people are still working from home, and companies are still getting used to that whole everybody being remote situation, trying to work out the logistics of how to get everything working again. Basically what I'm trying to say is, it's going to take time. Because unfortunately when the whole Battle Network 20th anniversary stuff got announced, we were already 2 months into the pandemic, and at that time, nobody really knew how quickly things would get resolved, or how much the pandemic would affect all of everybody's plans. And it turned out to be far worse than anyone anticipated. Some areas of the world are starting to get back on their feet now, but other parts of the world are still in the thick of it. So again, it's just going to take time. So while we wait on more news on the Battle Network 20th anniversary, that Kotobukiya model kit that we haven't seen the full color model for yet, what could happen for Mega Man's 35th anniversary? The big one is definitely Rockman Tyson, the game that was leaked via the ransomware leaks, which was confirmed straight from the Capcom sheets that is going to have the biggest budget of any Mega Man title ever, on par with Monster Hunter Stories 2. And they're hoping to get 2 million copies sold, which again is insane for a Mega Man game. Not even Mega Man 2, the current highest selling Mega Man title, even hit 2 million. So while it's really hard to tell what kind of game Rockman Tyson could be, I fully believe this is going to be the flagship title for Mega Man's 35th anniversary, because it is slated for 2022, the same year of the anniversary. And the significantly sized budget going into the game just goes to show that this is going to be something that's grander than even Mega Man 11 on a production scale. I'm not saying it's going to be the best game ever, we'll have to see for ourselves, but that budget's going towards something. And I can definitely see it being that big 35th anniversary title. As for legacy collections, we did talk about before how they had the Misadventures of Tron Bonds source code in the active state, implying that they were working on it perhaps for a possible Legends collection. But that's one of those things where it's like, well, who knows, right? You can't really tell these things, but that is one possibility. And then there's the all but confirmed Steam ports for Rockman X DiVE that we have actual assets and the data for, but no announcements yet. Whatever happens for the 35th anniversary and the 20th for Battle Network going forward, what we know for sure is that there are things being worked on, there are things on the burner, but like Uchi-san said, it's time to be patient. I've said this many times, Mega Man doesn't need a new game every year. That's what killed the franchise for 8 years in the first place. So no, we don't need oversaturation again. If they want to take their time on one good Mega Man game every once in a while, I'm okay with that. I just hope it's the game that people want, and it would be nice if they were a little more transparent about these things, but it is what it is. I understand why they don't. And I definitely don't expect them to just tell us all our plans like that. I was surprised enough that Tsuchiya just came out a couple years ago like, hey, we're already working on the next Mega Man game. Anyways, that's the rant. So since I mentioned the Misadventures of Tron Bonds, let's move on to our last story, a Mega Man Legends thing. Wait, what the heck? Yeah, it looks like Ship to Shore Phone Co. and Capcom are teaming up to release a vinyl and audio cassette for the first Mega Man Legends game's OST. Not a bad choice for a soundtrack. And if you want that vinyl or audio cassette, it's going to be going up for pre-order today as we're uploading this video, which is on June 22nd at 2 p.m. Eastern. We'll have a link in the description below for the page that you'll want to check out in order to pre-order the soundtrack for yourself. But hey, that's pretty nifty. This will be the first North American release of the Mega Man Legends 1 soundtrack, in a physical format no less. If we had to speculate why now of all times though, we did just have that Mega Man Legends trademark that was filed not that long ago. And keep in mind, I'm not talking about a renewal, I'm talking about a brand spanking new Mega Man Legends trademark. It came around the same time that they delisted those Legends games off the Japanese PlayStation 3 store. So that was some interesting timing there. So hey, maybe they are working on that Legends collection. And this vinyl and audio cassette release is just the beginning of that trademark being put to use. But that's just a theory. A Shadow Rock theory. Thank you for watching. because that is indeed the end of our Mega News Roundup for today. What do you guys think of the new Monster Hunter collaboration in Rockman X DiVE? What do you hope to see for Mega Man's 35th anniversary? And will you be getting the Mega Man Legends 1 vinyl or audio cassette? Personally, I'm a fan of the atmosphere that the Legends 1 soundtrack creates. From happy tunes to seriously creepy tunes like the Closer Woods Subgate music. Oh my god, that still gives me the creeps to this day. But with that said, thank you all so much for watching. We'll see you tomorrow for the Rockman X DiVE stream. In the meantime, I want to thank our channel members, including GA class supporters Ray Stinger, Adrian Cauldron, Cabinman41, Vince Crystals, Rose Maverick Saiyan, LML123, Rico Syndrome, and Austin Buford. You guys are the real legends keeping this channel alive, and we're eternally grateful for that. We'll see you for the next video. Until then, rock on, and have yourselves a great night or day.